All right, I can already tell we're gonna have fun with this.
Okay,
so you have
nice.
some exciting news, right?
I do.
Are you gonna tell me?
Well, maybe it's exciting for me and not for anybody
I'm
else.
excited after hearing you talk about it.
Yeah, no, it's exciting because I'm going to be running marketing at an iconic company called Zapier.
Heard of
Zapier,
it.
like happier, which everybody knows. That's the thing. Everybody's heard of Zapier.
Yeah.
I love it. They don't have a distribution or visibility or awareness problem, which is
Yep.
great. Marketer's dream, to be honest.
Yep.
And I start on Monday.
How are you excited?
Very excited. I'm actually super excited about reporting to the CEO again, and specifically the CEO.
Yep.
I mean, Wade Foster is like famous, infamous. I mean, he pioneered the remote movement. He pioneered like the how to work movement. Like they're like supreme, like Zapier's like supreme documenters of like what a good way to work is. And they've iterated over time. I mean, they've actually been around 11 years, which I didn't realize.
So if you would have told me or asked how long has Zapier been around, I would have said, I don't know, maybe like 5, 6, 7. Like I would have never guessed 11 years.
Yeah, 11 years, and they've just pioneered so much stuff. Anyway, so in my mind, they're like an iconic company, and I can't believe I have this job.
Yeah.
I'm
So
super pumped.
how did you vet the opportunity?
I did not. It was a yes from day one. I met Wade on
Yeah.
a call. It was
So
like,
clearly there was some vetting.
oh my God, I love this guy. So a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I think our call was like booked for like 60 minutes. I think we talked for like 2.5, 3 hours.
Always a good sign. Yeah.
Always a good sign. Like, you know, there's I have a very basic checklist. It's like transparent, honest, intellectually like curious, and I could see that he would push me and he wouldn't take my bullshit, but also I knew that he'd be gentle on the things that I was perhaps perplexed about or confused about, and he would be able to spar with me. That is super important to me. Like I've learned this about myself.
Yeah.
The sort of camaraderie aspect of work is supremely important to me. I don't want to be a robot. I don't want to just like do work, do good work and like in and out.
Yeah.
I want to debate. I want to spar. I want to learn. I like the type of relationship where you can like text your boss and be like, hey, I just saw this. Oh my God, what do you think about this? Maybe we can do this. Right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like he was like that kind of guy.
Yeah.
So I was like, I could see this working. So that was like a really big part of it. And the other thing I was looking for was a company, ideally a company or a product that was at some kind of crossroads. Not like perilous stuff, like not things that they couldn't see their way out of, but some kind of crossroads, which I think Zapier is at. Like they are extremely well known for zapping apps together,
Yeah.
right? Like
Which
duct
is
tape.
how I think about them.
Everybody
Yeah.
does. You duct tape your shit together with Zapier, right? But they have so many other products that nobody knows about. They have an Airtable competitor. They have like an AI product. They have
Did not know that. Did not know that.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I've talked to my friends who are power users, and they did not know that. So
So how is that happening then?
I'm not sure. I'll figure it out on Monday.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but that's
Report back,
part of
yeah.
what I have to fix, right? And like get the word out there, get
Yep.
usage up, help with like virality, and kind of trying to move up market as well. So there's like a bunch of like cool stuff that I'm interested in. So that was like the second part of it. But first and foremost, the fundamentals had to be there. Great boss. Can I learn there?
Yep.
Is it cool? Yep. Check. Now it's like, okay, now here's the other meaty stuff.
So how big is the marketing team?
I'm not sure. I think it's about 40 people.
Okay.
But I will say that they slightly downsized, I want to say last year. And they have also outsourced some functions,
Okay.
such as a lot of their creative is not done in-house, which I actually find quite mind-boggling because creative is like a big part of my process and
Yep.
how you differentiate.
Yeah.
So, hopefully I'll be able to bring that in-house again. Yeah.
So are you redoing the website right away, like most marketing leaders do when they first get to a company?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I will say that the use case pages and the solutions pages need a lot of love. So I will start with ICP and jobs to be done and all of that stuff. Yeah. But eventually make its way to the homepage.
I love it. No, I just laugh because
Yeah,
9
it is the
times out of 10,
first
it's like,
thing, yeah.
oh, let's redo the website.
You know what?
Let's do it.
I know. It's a bit of a running joke for sure.
Yeah.
But I will say in its defense, redoing the website is a forcing function for so many important things. You have to friggin' know who the customer is, what they care about, what are their changing needs, what are their selfish needs and desires. You got to figure that out. You can't redo the website. Oh, is your brand identity, your entire creative strategy, is your look and feel, like, are you zigging with everybody else? Are you zagging a little bit? Like, what's your sort of visual strategy? That's important.
Yep.
How are you investing in content? What kinds of content? Where are you leaning in? That affects the website. So I feel like doing the website is like a forcing function to figure out all of these other like tent poles that hold this whole thing up.
I could not agree more. If you do the website just to like do the website without thinking through all of those things.
Yeah, change the logo.
Those are the people that I'm kind of making fun of
Yeah,
right now.
yeah,
But
yeah.
if you're redoing the website because you're building all these foundational elements that you need at the end of the day for good marketing,
Yeah.
I can get behind that because I had to do that when I started at User
Yeah,
Evidence.
yeah, and ain't no shame in it. And take like the 6 months or 10 months or whatever you need. You know?
I had like 35 days, but
You did it in 35 days?
Yeah, it was
Damn.
crazy. Never again.
Okay, that's a conversation we can have. Yeah, I would love to
So
know.
the Cliff Notes version is in my final interview presentation. This would have been last May.
Yeah.
It was prepare like you're getting the gig
Yeah.
and what are your first 3, 6, 12 months basically look
Plan
like.
is, yeah.
And I prepped a lot for the conversation, more than I ever have for any other interview before because I wanted it.
Yeah.
And the second slide was like a very last minute ad on my end. And it was, before we get to the presentation, here's what we're not going to do. And it was do a rebrand, redo the website, and spend money on paid ads. And Evan, my boss, now boss, said, you know what? We agree with you. But I'm like, oh God, what is he going to tell me now? He's like, we just closed our Series A.
Yeah.
We're announcing it at the end of the summer.
Yeah.
The current website is 100% custom. So if you want to change text, you have to ask our engineering team to then change it for you.
Oh my gosh.
And we want to
So
look our best.
You have to change the website anyway
Series
then.
A.
Yeah.
So for something like that, I get. I didn't want to come in with a recommendation of like, hey, this is like where I want to put all of my time and energy and kind of like initial social capital on the line.
Yeah.
But it worked out. It was crazy, and it helped me get like a big noticeable win. I would say very early,
you need
which
a good
helped
early win.
me kind of create a little bit more trust with him.
Totally.
So I could do my thing. But yeah.
But 35 days is a record. Like I don't.
Yeah.
that's-
Don't do that.
Yeah. No. I don't want to. Yeah.
So
Awesome.
You were just at ClickUp. You're going to be at Zapier very soon.
Yeah.
What's it like working in an organization that has a PLG motion with a sales motion as well?
Yeah, that was new to me because I'd say there was only one instance. I used to work at a company called Superside, and I had joined them pre-product and pre-revenue. So I was like there from day one. We had a PLG and a PLS motion at that, but we eventually, after the first year, deprecated the PLG motion. So it was almost entirely sales assisted with some flavors of PLG. So I'd never worked in a company where both of those were like equal, sort of.
Yeah.
And I would say I was mainly hired to kind of be on the sales assisted side of the game. And ClickUp's grown almost entirely through PLG. They have a really robust freemium product. Like when I say robust, I mean like they have every bell and whistle that you can imagine that a project management tool would have, and they give it away for free. So the stickiness is really there. The usage is really there. We can bring in people. I say we, I should say they now because I'm no longer there. They were able to bring in people into the freemium product for $25 a pop. That was like how efficient that whole machine was. So the company grew like crazy.
Yeah.
It was insane. It was, and at scale, right?
Yep.
And so we were getting something like 60, 70,000 signups when I joined, which is like last year, 2023. And by the time I left, they were getting something like 100,000 and still keeping the same sort of cost per lead. So that was great. And that's how the company grew. And so they didn't know anything else. They didn't really have a handle on who their ICP was. They kind of knew, but not really. It wasn't documented. They didn't really know where they were most profitable. They didn't know where do you deploy expensive resources such as sales reps who get paid $500,000, right? Like that whole system had to be invented from scratch. We didn't even know how to like route leads properly. We had so many leads.
What were you doing? Or what did you inherit? Sorry.
It was, it was just, and it wasn't just me. It was like a bunch of us. A lot of us joined like at the same time. Like we hired a VP of enterprise sales who joined the same day I did. We hired a VP of business development who ran the SDR, BDR team. He joined the same day. So the three of us joined together as this like task force to figure out.
It's kind of cool to all join at once, no?
Totally. Great idea. And we had to figure out not only how do we go up market, because our product market fit was with SMB and what we call micro, but not with mid-market enterprise. But that's where the dollars are, and that's how you go public, and that's what the street wanted, blah, blah, blah. And then we also had to figure out how to do this efficiently and bring down the CAC payback from a whopping 36 months to something more sensible. So lead routing was like 6 months of my life. And happy to say that it wasn't me running the project, so to speak. It was somebody else, but obviously I was a stakeholder. And it's tough in a large company, and it's actually strangely hard when there's like a lot of different sales groups involved, because everybody and their mother has
Strangely
an opinion.
hard. No, that makes total sense.
Yeah, the reason I guess the reason it was strange for me is because no, I've mostly worked for startups, like Series A and B startups, and usually heads of sales are they want as many leads. Like I think where I've come from is like, give me all the leads, I'll decide, I'll figure it out, I'll create my own system is typically what I hear, and then we have to be like, no, we gotta build this for scale, and there's like a cool back and forth, and everything's good. Here was like almost like the opposite, because we had so many signups, so many signals, so much to look at. So we actually realized that not only did we need to figure out lead routing and qualification and enrichment, all of those three problems together, but we also needed other kinds of like for example, we ended up instituting an ML model that would stack rank all the accounts, all the PLG accounts, and then tell us every single month which were the top 2% or top 1% accounts, so we could do outbound or ABM on it. Things like that. None of that infrastructure was in place. So it was just like, everything was like, I'm sorry, but like a cluster F. Like it was like bad. Like it was like, so my role was like very operational, and I don't actually think I did marketing in the first 6 months.
Do you come from an ops background?
No, I am hardcore demand gen, content, like that stuff. And so, yeah, it was tough, and I had to navigate a lot of personalities. There was like the old guard, we were the new guard. There was people that had done like many different roles before. There were people that were close to the CEO. There's all this stuff, like all this big company stuff that I wasn't used to was happening around me, and I was learning as we went along. Learning and figuring out like what I was doing wrong, and all the considerations that I should have. It was good. It was a good experience, but I definitely have like a 5-point list of like how I would do this differently at Zapier, because Zapier has something similar where they've also grown primarily through PLG and a great freemium product, and through search. Like they dominate search in excellent ways for certain keywords and ICPs, and their whole sales motion is very new, and they are also trying to go up market. So I have like a list of what not to do for sure,
which is oftentimes just as valuable, if not more valuable, than knowing what to do. At least I've found.
100%, totally. So yeah, lots of good learnings. I'd say the biggest one, since we're on the subject, is just accept that things are just going to be chaotic, and accept that you're going to have to change your mind on certain systems you put in place as things happen and you learn. And so one thing I might do differently at Zapier is like, don't like buy or implement any hardcore tools or like systems.
Oh, marketers doing that? Yeah.
Yeah, right? Like just like keep things like fluid and make it such that you can reverse that decision pretty fast. So that's learning number one. The beauty of the ML model thing that we instituted was we could change our minds about how it thought about what the top accounts were, are you like valuing the health of the account more, like K-factor more, like whatever, like we could change those parameters. So that was great. That was a good learning. I also learned that it's okay not to know who your ICPs are and your jobs to be done are. That's okay. But until you do that, don't actually do any ABM and targeting. Like they kind of like, you can't have the cart before the horse. Like there's an order to the madness.
Marketing leaders knew that, because I feel like most do not.
And the thing is, like in retrospect, like I know that, but I too fell into the trap of, oh, it's okay, we'll figure out the ICP stuff in parallel and we'll start the ABM program. And it's like, no, like it's just vaporware. Like it's nothing if you don't know who to go, and your segmentation isn't clear, and like you don't know what like their sort of, like I said earlier, selfish needs and desires are. Like you need to have clarity on that. So definitely not making that mistake again. So that was a second big learning. And there's like a few more, but I'd say those are the top two.
Love it.
Yeah.
So how do you get buyers confidence to move from like a PLG freemium product to actually ponying up and paying for big enterprise contracts? Like what do they need?
I mean, not everyone's going to do that, and not everybody has the need. And sometimes if they have the need, they may not have the budget or the clout to go ask for that. I'm not sure if there's like a standard playbook, but I would say like one thing.
I hate standard playbooks, so what is your playbook?
Yeah,
like, how do you approach it?
I'd say like, obviously, like if it's, like in Zapier's case and ClickUp's case, as we tried to go up market, it was very evident that there's an informal buying committee. Even if it's not formalized on the buyer's end, there's some kind of informal buying committee. There's like all these players. There's like the economic buyers, there's the decision makers, there's the influencers of that. There will be active blockers. I pay a lot of attention to who would be a blocker. So when I do buyer personas and stuff, I always outline who the blockers would be. When I was at Superside, we had this blocker that we called Designer Dan. And Designer Dan, everybody thought Designer Dan would be an ally and a champion. And it was very clear that Designer Dan was not, and that he was a blocker. So
Interesting.
So you kind of have to watch the patterns on that. So I think one of the key things is to like sell to the full committee, even if it's informal, and do all of the things like plant all the right seeds at the right time, multi-channel. You have to be a little bit omni-channel on that, and then the sales reps have to like multi-thread and do all of those things. But the most important thing is, I think, is like really figuring out how to like get into their hearts and minds. So not just like the rational business case, but like what is the thing that would help most of the group, not maybe the entire group, but most of the group feel very confident about selecting you and this decision. And it's often just like something like really tiny, some kind of emotional response. It could be as simple as, "Ooh, these guys are cool." And I use that one as an example. No, it's true. Again, just throwing back to Superside, like a lot of times when I surveyed, I did all the win-loss personally. And when I would ask the decision maker, "So why'd you go with us?" Because like they were signing like $120,000, $150,000 checks. And I was like, "Why'd you go with us?" And they're like, "Oh, you guys are so cool and like hip and happening." And they would say stuff like that. And I'd be like, okay, coolness is a thing. You know, they want to be associated with something that's cool. They want to be able to say to their mom, their peers, their wife, whatever, "I brought on Superside," right? Like there's like so that's like a emotional.
We're at Dave's event. That's how it was back in the day with Dave at Drift. Like you just kind of want to be
part of
like,
the Daves. Yeah. Totally. Yes, exactly. So I think, knowing like what some of those emotional drivers could be is like supremely important. And then you just build your marketing kind of around that. So I don't know what it would be for Zapier, but
you'll know by Tuesday.
I'll know in the first week. But you know what I mean? Like it's like you kind of just have to like tap into the zeitgeist a little bit and hear, like really analyze your win-loss, really like listen to your gong or clary calls and all of that stuff, and just like try to start triaging, like what are the things that actually make these people tick, and what are the things that would actually allow them to choose us over somebody else. Because the truth about SaaS is like there's 1,000,001 products out there, and they all kind of do virtually the same identical stuff. So really why they're choosing you is price, some kind of brand thing, and like just good timing. You know, that's typically it. So
for PLG companies that have a sales assist motion, what kind of proof points do the reps need?
Yeah, great question. I would say like, I mean, I've noticed that there's a lot of variety that's needed. I typically find, depending on the industries that the company sells into, often they need proof points that are industry specific, which was, it's obvious in retrospect, but while I was at ClickUp, it wasn't. We thought, similar title, similar buyer personas would be fine, like marketer to marketer, or IT person to IT person, or project manager to project manager. It's like, but also the industry specific stuff. So any kind of case studies, proof of impact type stuff, hey, we're not gonna like lie to you and say, oh, ClickUp solved all of these problems. It's gonna be ClickUp was like a part of the solution to solve XYZ problems. There's this one company, for example, I spoke with, huge construction company, huge. They're massive, like probably like number 2 in the world. Big customer of ClickUp's, but we were stuck with one division and we wanted to expand internally to the other departments. And the proof point, the thing that hit the nail on the head was this guy, the main champion who we interviewed, says on video, we can just build faster with ClickUp now. We don't miss our like actual milestones, and we can build a lot faster with ClickUp. And that's all that the other departments needed to hear. That's it, just that one line. And no one's like asking like, oh, like show us like how much did you pay for ClickUp? What was the ROI in the dollars? No one cares. It's like, oh my God, I can hit my deadlines. Wow, that really matters. Because that's huge in construction. Because every day that you miss, sometimes you actually have to pay back the government. Sometimes you have to pay back. Like there's all sorts of like
crazy expensive when you start missing deadlines.
Yeah, like imagine you're building a bridge for like the city of San Diego or whatever. Like it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So you mentioned proof points, and you mentioned actually some of the stuff that our report touches on. So we launched this the other day.
Yeah. Cool.
I would love for you just to react to some of the crazy things in there. So
Crazy
feel free to
things
take a
in
look.
there?
So
Okay.
as background context, we surveyed 3 different groups: B2B buyers, sellers, and marketers at primarily B2B SaaS companies.
Yep.
And we were blown away at some of the stuff that we found. So some people have had crazy reactions. You can react however you want.
Half of buyers said that the most trustworthy customer evidence types were statistical evidence, case studies, or testimonials. Okay. Yeah. Buyers don't want any case study or testimonial. They want specifics. 2/3 of buyers said that the most important factor was a compelling and statistically significant business case around potential ROI. Yeah, makes sense.
So
Makes
I think
sense.
one of the themes that stood out is buyers demand relevance.
Yeah.
So how do you make customer stories that are relevant?
Yeah. It is an art and a science for sure. Yeah. That age old like problem, solution, like yeah. It's
We are launching a campaign soon that bashes that.
bashes that. I know. It's tried
Yes.
and sorry, not tried, tired,
Yes.
and nobody is reading like 15 paragraphs of that.
No.
I have this like saying, I said this to our product marketing team. I was like, it needs to fit on a postcard. If it doesn't fit on a postcard, no one is touching it. No one is reading it. No one's
love that.
absorbing it. So it has to, if it doesn't fit on like it's literally one paragraph. And like it has to be visual. And I was like, as a test before we like launched this to our sales team, let's just fit everything on a physical postcard. That's what we did at ClickUp.
How'd that go? I love that idea.
It was tough. It was really tough, and we had to like rethink how we did the storytelling and what kinds of things we found compelling. If you go to clickup.com, the website, you'll see now we've got these like video case studies, snackable case studies that are like 20 seconds long, and there's like 7 or 8 in a row, and you can just, as you hover over them, the thing pops up and it like plays for like 30. Like it's just so friggin' well done. So well done to that creative
Borrow
team.
that. What does snackable social proof mean to you then?
It could be anything, but it kind of like, I think you need some variety for sure. But I actually, this is a hunch, but I do think that the age old, like put a face to the quote is like really, really important. Because there's just something about trustworthiness, like it's implicit.
Yep.
If it's just a quote, it just doesn't land the same way. But if it's a quote with a face, it feels, I trust that more. And then if I happen to pay attention to who the heck this person is and where they work, that's even better. But sometimes I don't, just putting my consumer hat on. But just something about the face. So I think like video format, testimonials are great. But if it has to be a written thing, if it has to be a postcard, put a face on it.
So our product does parts of that. And when I joined User Evidence about a year ago, we did not have faces attached to testimonials. And I was just begging. I was like, please, please, please. So we now have that functionality. But I could not agree more with what you just said.
Yeah, and like you could do like stylized stuff. Like you could like take a face and like put your own brand like colors and whatever, right? Like patterns on it to make it like your own.
Yeah.
But I think the face recognition part is like really, it's like such a basic concept, but like it's weird that all companies don't do that. And I would say like there's stats are like, this is like, now that there's like a US elections going on, like I think about this a lot. There are forgettable stats and there's like memorable stats. And like you have to know that if the number is not big enough, like let's say it's like 61% of, no one cares. 61% is almost the same as 50%. So no one cares. So it's got to be like 75% and up for it to matter. So if it's like lower than that, don't even use it. Like that's my philosophy. So 75% of people said blah, that matters. Now I will remember that. And you kind of have to like, the way that the typography is laid out, whatever this asset is, you kind of have to pull out not the 61% or the 75%, but the thing that you're actually talking about. I would highlight the thing. So 75% of people felt that, whatever, Kamala is more joyful than Joe Biden. Great, right? Like joyful, like highlight the joyful, not the 75%. So that's like little nuggets like that.
I love that. And then one more question about the report. So 9 out of 10 sellers that we surveyed wished that they had better customer evidence. Why do you think
9 out of 10 sellers. Oh, wow. Okay. Huh. And like marketing teams spend so much time on this stuff and they're still asking for that. I think it's probably what I said earlier, which is like bad formats, too long, didn't read. Just like piles and mountains of information that no one cares about.
So like a scroll like this long instead of a postcard.
Yeah, I think so. That's probably part of it. The one thing that I've heard from every sales rep that I've ever worked with is, how can I find this shit easily? Like, because like, let's say I have 100 testimonials, hypothetically, or like whatever, 500, right?
Yep.
How are they supposed to sort through that? How are they supposed to find somebody for a reference call? How are they, like, I could put it in a spreadsheet and I can organize it, but there's got to be a better system. So there's tools for stuff like that.
Absolutely. Last question. I was just in San Diego recently. I went to a Padres game and I noticed, I think it's out of center field.
Yeah.
Is that ClickUp's office?
It's ClickUp's main office, our HQ.
So how often would people just go watch the Padres games?
Like all the time, like for
That's
free.
what I thought.
For free, yeah. Someone joked that we should just like have like a telescope installed there.
Yeah.
Because like you could literally see, it's a clear shot. Actually, ClickUp used to sponsor the Padres for almost like, I want to say like a good like 4 or 5 years. Yeah, we just recently stopped because we're pulling back on the CAC payback and all that. Yeah.
Well, and when your HQ is in the back,
Yeah,
with the logo, if
kinda
somebody hits
doesn't
a home
matter.
run, it's kind of like free advertising.
Free advertising, yeah.
This was so much fun. Thank you for making time for me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for all the good questions.